I have done programs within schools, which were educational programs. Because it was a in-house curriculum I had made, me and my team had made, and we used to run that curriculum of hands-on and practical learning of astronomy and science. And a lot of schools, I have done this program with few thousand kids. Started back in 2013. Other than that, I have been involved in building observatories. Normally, observatories are made like big projects made by government. So the observatories I was making was basically public observatories which anyone can just walk in. A concept where it was like a movie ticket. Normally, you go for a movie and have a nice time, but the observatory I was building was like you just go there, spend 40 minutes and have actual experience of the night sky, watch through actual telescope, an expert will. So I made two observatories, and I had some plans this summer also, but unfortunately due to this coronavirus, so it has been shifted. Let's see. So other than that, like I just do different things around astronomy, science, and the whole idea is to just break down science and make it accessible for the common world. And other thing is uh, like inspire young kids and people to just get involved in science. So that's, as I said, I don't do research, but I basically develop programs in a way that like people can actually get inspired, get involved, and it's like I am like a bridge between the layman both ways. So I inspire kids to just go and join the scientific world, and I just break down the complex topics of scientific world and just make it in a presentable form for laymen, basically. So other than that, I do astrophotography workshops. Because I am also an astrophotographer. So those workshops are not just for kids. I do it for school kids as well as it's open for everyone. Basically, anyone just can join one of my workshop, and it's a practical workshop of photography, how to shoot galaxies, how to shoot stars and all that. So this is what I do. And I keep on basically trying new things. The whole idea is being a science communicator.
So, very cliche question, but this is what I'm going to start with. So, when did it start? When did your love of astronomy and the sky start? Also, एक तो चीज है interest, but when did you realize that this could be your professional life? That मैं इसी से पैसे कमा सकता हूँ and I can sustain myself.
So my interest started at a very young age. I was very young. Like one of my first experiences I can remember with astronomy was a friend of my father, and he is also a friend of mine. By the way, you have met him, Amitabh. He basically came to my home with a telescope. I was pretty young, in third grade, and he came with a telescope and showed me Saturn, and that was like beautiful. But for many years after that, there was no connection with astronomy. My parents, like especially my mother, used to just show me different books, read me like give me different articles to read about different science, not just astronomy, but most of the things were life, wildlife, history of life, and all that. But later on, there was a comet. I was pretty young, and in 1997, I think, there was a comet Hale-Bopp. It's one of the biggest inspirations in my life to get involved in astronomy. So this comet was visible very bright. Like it was so bright, and it was visible for several weeks, and you could just see it from your naked eye. It was bigger than the moon, and it had the comet was called Hale-Bopp. So it was discovered by two astronomers, like it's named after two, then Hale and Bopp, Hale-Bopp after the two discoverers. So comet Hale-Bopp, we used to just look at that comet and play under it. Like every day we used to go on the terrace and say, oh, look at the comet. And it was so bright, one of the most beautiful things I have ever seen. I still remember it. In fact, I am so much inspired by the comets is that my signature is also like a comet. So my sign is very similar to a comet. So Hale-Bopp was one of the major events. There were few other comets at that time, but I could not see them. Then later on, I got involved with Nehru Planetarium. There's a group called Amateur Astronomers Association. It's like it's just a group of, just like a biker group, it's an astronomers group. So everyone with different levels of experience, they come together, share experience, go out for observations and so on. So I got involved with that. Again, few of my family friends were like senior members there, like one of the early founding members of that group and also my father's few friends. So I got involved with them. I started going on in observations, night sky observations, and then in those I was still in school. So then I also started getting involved in uh, public observations, like we can call it sidewalk astronomy. Just take a telescope, put anywhere, and just show it to random people. So my
Okay.
first experience of explaining astronomy or like this, like spreading it to masses was around in that time. I was, I think, in sixth, seventh grade or something like that. So we just
And yeah.
to used to sixth, seventh, eighth grade, something around that in my middle school. So we used to go out, and at that time I was not having any of my telescope. I was without a telescope, but I used to go out with people, some planetariums observation, some individual is doing it, and just stand there at any random place, anywhere in the street, and just start showing it to people. People initially expect that, oh, paise le rahe ho. No, it was free. Just we just explain things and just show it to people. So in those early years, like we showed it to many people, and then at planetarium we did one of the one. I was also part of this huge public observation we did during Mars. There was this planet Mars which was very close to Earth. I think I forgot the year 2004 or something. So more than like 7,000-8,000 people gathered in planetarium, like a big gathering. And at that time we were just standing there, and it was becoming cloudy. So what happened? And people were getting angry at us because it's cloudy. Like, it's not our fault. We were explaining it. There were huge queues. There were cops, police guys standing there managing. And then what happened? Like, there was a huge event, like at planetarium. And the thing what happened that it was published in a paper that there's an observation at the planetarium. So then what happened that everyone read and just came there. And so there was the police managing the crowds. And also then what happened that suddenly there was a cloud and we were trying to explain. And I was just one of many volunteers who were just doing this. So I think there were 7, 8 telescopes more than that. And I was in one of the with one of the telescope. And then suddenly it cleared after the clouds and people got so excited. There was a huge crowd running behind us. And we were holding a telescope and we were just running. And the police guy, I just with sticks and with their dandas and all, they're just making the lines again. And then we went back again and then we showed it to people again. So this is one of the early experiences. Then later on, for a long time, most of my astronomy experiences were with planetarium. When I started astronomy somewhere around in 6th or 5th grade, doing the 6th grade or 7th grade, I also started photography at the same time. Just picked my father had an old Zenith film camera. So what happened, I just picked it up. It was just lying at home. No one was using it. I just picked that camera and I started taking pictures. So it was a natural, basically a blend, like I started astronomy at the same time, photography at the same time. So doing astrophotography was a very like a natural thing. It's a perfect combination. So I started taking pictures with my film camera, random thing. Like, it was more of a learning experience. And with film camera, you have to you only have 36 frames. You have to wait to get it developed. That was a very interesting experience. So later on, after I finished my schooling and I was out there in my college, I never finished it. I actually, so it's not a suggestion I give it to people. Uh, so I never suggest people to drop out of formal education, because otherwise your journey becomes even more difficult. So it's just a stupid thing to do. If you just go by that method, there's so many other opportunities that open up. Otherwise, you have to work harder. So, and most of people just leave it otherwise. So, anyways, we'll come to that. So after that, I started doing photography a lot. I started shooting monuments, different. I am talking about in 2008. I started this series called the series where I started shooting Indian monuments, different Qutub Minar and all different things, different monuments. With Konark was much later on, 2013. So back in 2008, I started this whole series, starting from monuments of Delhi. Then I shot some in Banaras and different places, Sarnath. So it's basically celestial phenomena or night sky with the monuments. So in 2010, in late 2009, I started my first job, and it was related to science communication. It was basically with an organization called Space. They are still doing
Yeah.
these astronomy programs at schools and all. So I was not a person who used to go out and do the sessions, but I was more involved in back-end development of new programs, how programs will be delivered, like new curriculums and all that. I was part of that team. I also did some sessions and all. Parallelly, what happened in 2009, apart from the job, that job was a regular thing, but apart from that, in 2009, there was a solar eclipse. So I basically started a group called Cosmic Crossroads. It's still going on. Basically, the idea was because eclipse, that was the last eclipse which could be in our lifetime, which could be shot with so many Indian monuments and landmarks. So I just started doing random events, random gatherings, like just used to write to different photographers or call them and just group together. And I used to teach them how to shoot eclipses. So I did some workshops myself, just free workshops, just to get involved so that we can create a collection, because this was the last opportunity of our life. So we can actually make a collection of these unique images, which is not possible for at least more than 100 years. So, so that's how,
Like
like, one
people
of
at different spots shooting the same eclipse
same eclipse.
at the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So, for example, in the end, after doing these workshops, around 17 people, they agreed to travel on their own expense. Of course, I could not pay them at that time. And they traveled to different places across the whole totality belt. I was in Patna. Some of them were in Bodh Gaya. Some of them were in Sanchi Stupa and different places. Sher Shah Suri's tomb. So I also managed to apply for permissions of all these places, and I arranged all those permissions, access to the monuments and all. But unfortunately, we only got shot from one location because that was monsoon, July 22nd. So we
Again,
only got
clouds.
from, it was all cloudy. Even my location was cloudy. So we only got shot from one location. But doesn't matter. After that, most of the 17 people did not continue with the project. They were more like a one-time contributor. But few photographers, we continued, especially like me and Sunny, we continued this project, and we started creating a larger collection, which is not just specific to the eclipse. So after I left space, then I took some time doing nothing. It was a break because uh, because it was in the beginning, it's fine. It's a job. It's related to science communication, but I wanted to do something different. So for a while, I was not doing any work, but I just got involved in this, starting these retail stores. So it was not a business which I owned. A friend of mine was starting these astronomy retail stores where equipment and all can be sold. So like a retail chain store. So we were not having any money investment, but we just started. We jumped into it. So because I wanted to get a new experience, so I just got involved in these retail stores. So we
Did that work
and it
out?
was it worked out initially, but as we were not having any funding, we started like basically we just started with nothing. We just had enough. We even did not have money to pay off the equipment the next month. Basically, we just got the equipment or the item, most of them on consignment, and we actually sold a lot in the first month, and we could get more stocks, and it worked fine for 2.5 years. The first
Oh,
store we started was in Select City Walk. So other ambitious. So we had a store in
yeah.
Select City Walk
What,
for 2.5 years, and but the rentals
that
and
must have
all.
been crazy rent. Yeah.
Yeah, like so it was a crazy experience. Basically, what we did, used to just find creative ways of finding what to place, what item, if we can do tie-ups with some brand. We had like huge brands like from Celestron, Carl Zeiss, Nikon, and everyone. We used to. So it was a very unique kind of experience because I used to plan the whole store. So what happened that one of the partners, there were two friends of mine. They started it. So one of the partner, he got his PhD in Canada, so he moved out. So after that, I used to mostly take care of the product part. What like as an expert, I used to mostly take care of that, like the astronomy part, what items should be sold. So it was a different experience because it was at one end doing tie-ups with the brands and all, at another end what to place, what work,
Sales.
what doesn't work, finding sales strategy. So at one point it was if you talk about, there are big distributors who are selling across India, but at a single point it was the largest, it was the only it was a store with the highest amount of sale in India basically for a brief 1 year or so. So
Okay.
like we had a open kiosk, and at that time we used to sell items which, like imagine a 30,000 rupees, just a simple binocular, 40,000 binocular to a family. So we not just a typical sale, but we used to educate people. So so I took my experience as a science communicator and blended all that. And so basically it was a different kind of sales. Uh, then we started a second store in Rajouri Garden after Select City Walk. And finally, like the malls and all the rentals are so high, it's very difficult to sustain until unless you have a large amount of money. At one point, few months we were selling a lot, otherwise we were not. After that, I parallelly with the Select City Walk, I was actually planning to get into education because I was more interested in education than retail. So retail is fine. It was an amazing experience. I learned so many new things. So then for few years, it didn't work. Like we tried to do a partnership with one guy because in all my ventures, because what I have been after my one job, most of my focus was to start my own sort of independent venture kind of thing. So after that space job and this experience with retail, I wanted to focus on having a setup which is my own, and which is a self-sustainable setup which can work in different branches of science community, like from education, using science and astronomy as a core, working in retail, working in education, multiple. Like it was an ambitious project. Some things worked, something didn't work. So pretty interesting journey about that. So I then started my education company with another astronomer friend of mine and another person. But unfortunately, we had an accident in a first program. There was an accident, and that friend and partner died. He died in the car accident in the first program. So unfortunately, then another setback. So we could not do anything for a long time. It was a horrible experience. A great friend of mine and very brilliant astronomer. And then again we started again. So and that was called Antriksh. So after the second venture was called Antriksh, and then Antriksh basically parallel to this, we can talk about it later on. I did this Astrophoto Festival because this was more of a commercial angle, making a company which can earn from astronomy. And parallelly, I used to do these projects which were more of a outreach kind of projects, like the India Astrophoto Festival. We can talk about it later on. So I started Antriksh, and we made a lot of curriculums, different programs around astronomy, starting from third grade kids, how to hook them in astronomy. So basically, some of our programs used to have different levels. So first year students used to get involved with us. Second year they used to get with more serious astronomy, and third year some of our students, even I do these programs now. By the third year, the same batch of students passing from this 3-year journey, they are doing this student research project. They are learning how to collect data from stars, learning spectroscopy and all that. So the whole idea of these programs were like step by step, take the students towards more serious astronomy. Most of them will be just joining it for fun. It's fine. They can do it for fun, but there was a lot of elements which were there for fun. Otherwise, a lot of things which was like a journey towards serious and professional astronomy. So that was thing. Then again, that venture failed because again, that whole thing crashed. typical issues with startup, problem with partnerships, finance, with a like problem with funding. Because what happens that at one point of time, I used to have more than 20 employees working full time under one my like at my peak. I used to have more than 20 people working full time and getting proper salaries, like anything marking with the matching with the market and all. Like so, but more you grow, more you need financial backing. So that's something I learned the hard way. And because there's going to be ups and downs, and once you enroll, when you get people, when you are inside the business, your things are going on, you have to keep on paying salary. So that cycle
Yeah.
comes, and the whole business basically crashed. So
Yeah.
that was one thing. Another, at one point of time, so many schools, like we had uh, more than 50 schools in Delhi working with us, doing different programs. Some of them were doing long-term, full-time programs, curriculum. Some of them were doing short workshops. More than 50 schools ran these programs, and we did pretty decent. But then later on, after those issues with partnership and all, I started a parallel independently. I started this organization, Mars Education, with my uncle and my parents, because they also have a background of my father and my uncle. They also have been working in the field of science popularization, not specifically astronomy, but they have been involved in science for a long time. One of the projects they did in 90s was used to be the largest science media project in the world at that time. So because so with them, instead of going for outside partnership, I started this organization, Mars Education, which is currently I'm working with that. Apart from that, I tried different ventures. I tried a venture called Stargate. Didn't work again. That was a venture about observatories. This whole thing I told you, like a chain of observatories, making a this whole model of like having observatories and astronomy centers
Okay.
across India. Anyone can just go and get involved in with astronomy and science as just for fun, just for entertainment, just like a movie show. And if someone wants to get more involved, they could do workshops and all that. So that was one thing. So so I just keep on trying different things, different things. So something works, something don't work. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I relate very much to that. So my next question, because in this podcast we try a lot to educate people about the financial side of fields as well.
Okay.
So you've already spoken a lot. I mean, these days though it's oversold being an entrepreneur and all that. So everyone already knows
Hmm.
what there is involved, and they read a lot of success stories. But I always say that I want this to be a demotivational podcast as well, so that people understand कि drop out करके company शुरू करने से how many failures you sometimes have to go through
Most of them
before
are
you
failures,
even
basically.
begin to understand it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
only
Uh,
few success stories are highlighted, but most of
yeah.
them, it's a tough thing. It's much more difficult than any job.
Yeah.
So people think, okay, job
Especially
करना है
the whole
मुश्किल है.
guilt angle, because there are people who are dependent on you and you have to
Yeah,
pay
it's also
sort
a
of. Yeah.
different thing. But again, you should not take it. Anyone should not take it as a demotivation. It's a tough road, and but it's worth it. Like I still don't want to look for a job, and there's so many things. I always come with new idea. One thing failed, doesn't matter. You have to just keep on running. So
Hmm.
some things work, something don't work. So you cannot just get demotivated and leave it. Yeah.
True,
Yeah. Next
true.
question. You were
So
saying.
that's about your different travails as an entrepreneur. So I just want to explore the astrophotography side of it. So on that side, just I'll let you go in a second. I just want to know how does one get started? Like how do you learn a skill like that? What are different ways that if somebody listening to this now or in the future wants to start their journey as an astrophotographer, how to do that? Second, how do you start submitting your work? Like I was just going through, your work has been printed in a lot of covers of international publications. You've been in Vanity Fair, you've been in the New York Post. So, but there has to be some point where you started. So, how does one start submitting their work and start building a body of work as an astrophotographer?
Okay, so first, I can make out there. I'll divide it into two parts. One is uh, like the whole learning curve of skill set and becoming a better astrophotographer, how to start. And second is how to make something out of it. What are different
Yeah.
things you can do? How to get into publications and all that. So first, I'll start with nowadays. When I started astrophotography, it was much difficult because digital cameras were not there. And that time, digital cameras were coming, but they used to be super expensive. And like now, everyone can afford a DSLR or some there are new types of cameras nowadays. But at
Yeah.
that time, they used to be super rare, and even the quality was not good enough. So, but now, if you see, technology is so much accessible. Shooting a Milky Way shot at that time used to be very, very difficult. We used to like with that film, it was like so difficult to get a no, simple shot. Now you can just get it in 30 seconds or 20 seconds like this. Even a beginner
True.
can get a shot like that nowadays. So it's much easier to start it. To so
Now.
any camera now most of the people like lot of people they have these DSLR cameras or mirrorless cameras. They can just pick those cameras, and if they know a little bit about basics of photography, they can just start doing astrophotography. So the starting part is easy. You just need to learn how to take uh, long exposure shots. How to just the biggest for a layman or a daytime photographer and a nighttime astrophotographer, the biggest thing is mental block. Okay, so technically starting is very easy, but people think, "Oh, अंधेरे में आँख से नहीं दिखता." So how to visualize things at night? So that is a
Mm.
skill set you will keep on learning. The starting point is just to get any camera. As you are shooting at low lights, you just because you have to give a long exposure, your camera will move. You have to put it on a stable tripod and just start taking simple long exposure shots of different nightscapes. Nothing fancy. Then you can start different things. You can start shooting star trails, which are motion of stars in the night sky. Okay, if you go to my Instagram, you can see a lot of star trails, different types of photos. Uh, Star
Just
trails
one second,
basically.
Atesh. Atesh is on Instagram at the rate Atesh Shaman, and you can also search for Atesh Shaman on Cargo Collective, where you can see a lot of the series he's talking about. I just saw a lot of his work 15 minutes ago, actually. Trying to, yeah. All right, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah. So you can try different forms because learning is easy. There is always a more difficult or the next level. Like after doing it for so many years, I always have something. Okay, this new technique I want to try. This new object I have never shot. So later on, a lot of people can actually get into that. Basically, if I say that you can divide astrophotography in two types. One is when you shoot something with the ground or the landscape with monuments. The type of astrophotography I prefer to do. Okay, so it's not like which is superior, which is inferior, but I prefer to take shots relating Earth with the sky. This is called Earth and Sky astrophotography. All right. So
Hmm.
on the other hand, you have this deep sky photography. I do that. I teach that in my workshops also. I've done it a lot, but I personally prefer the other one. All right. So deep sky
Okay.
photography is photographing galaxies, nebulas, star clusters, and all that. So once you get the basic skills of astrophotography, you can actually do either ways. All right. So you can do it professionally, which is still tricky because uh, by just doing astrophotography full time and earning from the images and publication, even now after so many years, earlier astrophotography used to be not that common. And now a lot of you can see so many wallpapers, so many publications related to night sky. But even then, if you just want to earn from publications and all, it's still very difficult. You have to be a versatile photographer. All right. The approach I take is I do both. Basically, I keep on sending my work to publications and all. All right. I keep on putting my work at different awards, competition, and whatever. Uh, I've won few. I've won a lot. I didn't win many. So apart from that, I also do these workshops I teach astrophotography. So most of my work I focus nowadays is towards teaching astrophotography because there's so many people, it's becoming so popular and technology is becoming so easy nowadays. There are literally thousands and thousands of people who are doing astrophotography even just as a hobby. All right. So publication and all, of course, you can make, you can earn from that. That is fine. But most of the astrophotographers worldwide, how do they earn? They do different types of photography with that, and they also do these workshops.
You've already told us that it will never pay enough. It's very difficult to do just that. But just in terms of how much would a experienced photographer or a photographer starting out, would there be different like pay for somebody who presents an image? And do Indian publications pay, or is it mostly just Western publications where you can
Indian publications pay very little, very little. The like most of the publication, the thing is that like if they normally pay same as any other photo, but astrophotos take a lot more effort. Like what happens that you go out for a shoot to suppose to shoot an eclipse or something. The problem, I'll tell you a problem with Indian publications. So suppose I am out there shooting some eclipse or some event, special event, and after the whole expedition or the whole trip, I'll end up with 2 or 3 images. And if you compare it with any other photojournalism, like you will have so many other images. So that same parameter of paying per photo doesn't work. So some of them okay, some of them pay okay, but most of the Indian publication they go by that. And I'll tell you what, there are different ways to get published. You can earn a lot, but I personally don't focus on that much. So a lot of astrophotographers, especially internationally, they earn a lot more than I do from publications and all that because they continuously focus on that. So my focus, being a science communicator, for many years I have not focused on my photography publication. So that's why you must have seen most of my publications I had mentioned earlier in that bio are very old, because after that I've started focusing on this aspect. So if I would have focused more on that publication aspect and all that, so of course I could have earned much more.
Sure. So I just want to quantify this next question, qualify the next question by saying that a science is defined as something which is falsifiable, like Karl Popper's theory. So you can take the conclusions and you can recreate them with proper scientific conditions. So astronomy is just the study of the sky and the stars and all that. I want to know, how do people in your field view pseudosciences like astrology, for example, and is there any opinion or consensus on that?
Yeah, so for example, I'll tell you about how astronomy is a subject of science which is not just about looking up about studying the sky. It's basically, the best thing about astronomy is like it's one of the oldest sciences. Like even if you talk about people who were like, suppose let's talk about when we had not settled, we were hunter gatherers. Even back then, sky used to be one of the biggest mysteries. So it was a big question mark. On the ground, people can actually touch and see things close by. They can see it happening, but sky always used to be a mystery. So it was one of the oldest, you can call it one of the oldest sciences which is out there. And it's also a blend of different branches of science. For example, astronomy has physics, astronomy has chemistry, there's biology in it, there is geology in it. So it's basically a blend of all science. So why I focus so much on astronomy, especially it's not just when suppose I work with kids, it's not just about you do astronomy to become an astronomer. It's not just like that. Astronomy, if someone at a very young age, especially at a young age, gets involved with astronomy, what happens that person learns how to have a multidisciplinary approach, because astronomy by its nature is a multidisciplinary subject. It's not a standalone. Normally what happens when someone studies physics, they tend to ignore other branches of science. A physicist most of them are very bad at biology. And in nature, these boundaries between different subjects are not there. These are man-made boundaries which we have made for convenience. So it's very important to have a multidisciplinary approach if you are doing anything related to science. All right. So astronomy, that is the key point I highlight astronomy on, because that's why I focus a lot on astronomy, because to have this, which is more students are getting, if you see, as we are getting more ahead in time, this multidisciplinary approach is becoming less in students. Students are like, they are in many ways like, okay, they are more focused. एक subject में मेरे को interest है, उसी में focus रहना है. ये एक बहुत बड़ी problem है. So this is a very good way to just, it doesn't matter if they want to do astronomy for a long time, they want to become astronomers. Okay, so the second thing is myths and all, it's a big problem. And I deal with these, a lot of sessions I do, I have, for example, especially about astrology, a lot of sessions I do are about breaking these myths. So by using different, I've made different activities, role play activities, different sessions where students actually visualize the concept and they understand how those, how the actual concept is happening and how these myths are basically non-scientific. Secondly, what happens that even understanding these historical origin of myths is important. Okay, at one point of time, these are very old understanding about the universe. Now we know a lot better. So it's just saying, okay, उस time पे जो myth बना था, then okay, people were trying to find answers. It was in a way like the failed attempt. So
Yeah.
dealing with these myths, especially अभी eclipse आ रहा है, you start seeing so many myths happening. There's an eclipse coming next month, very rare one. There's a beaded annular eclipse. Very difficult to, I'm seeing if I can travel, very difficult. So it's visible from Rajasthan, Haryana, Uttarakhand, very rare one. So at that time you start seeing the myths popping up again. So especially as a science communicator, it is our responsibility to just deal with that, educate the masses, explain them, not just say, okay, ये myth बेकार है, ये गलत होता है. फिर तो उन्हीं का method हो जाएगा, वो myth वाला ही method हो जाएगा. So it's, I spend a lot of time actually breaking down, explaining it to, and a lot of time it's for school kids, a lot of time I just do it with no random public out there. Yeah.
All right. Okay, Atish, we're just about getting towards the end of this interview. So at this point, I just want to ask you, for anyone who is watching or will watch, if they want to get going right now, like you said, there are astrophotographers collectives where people can go and start actually getting involved and learning the skills that are required. Can you name some of these for the people here so that they could know how to get started and join up with other people who are enthusiastic?
The astronomy groups, like there's one in Delhi, Amateur Astronomers Association. In most of the major cities in India, there are some amateur astronomy groups. So they are pretty good to get started with. So in Bangalore, there is one. In Chennai, there is one. If you just go astronomy club in any random city, even in small cities nowadays, there are a lot of astronomy clubs. If your city has a planetarium, lot of these groups are always involved with planetariums. So, so just if you randomly search, there are many. Even on Facebook, there are so many different Chennai Astronomy Club, Bangalore Astronomy Club. In Delhi, there is Amateur Astronomers Association. So getting involved with them, of course, helps a lot. Otherwise, internet, just nowadays, there's so many people doing it. There are thousands of people who are involved in this. Just get in touch with them, talk to them. That's the only way.
Okay, okay. Atish, for every guest, I do the same thing without their permission. I give a statement that if any of you are interested in or have any queries, because so far there haven't been many because we didn't start on time. But if you have any queries about how to get ahead in astronomy and all of that, you can either DM me or reach out to Atish, and I'll make sure that I pass the message on to him. And yeah, we only invite people who we know would be happy to do that. So yeah, thanks for that. Atish, just to end this, if you could break down into like just 6-7 lines. Can you hear me?
I just wanted to add one more thing. The career I have in astronomy, there are more of a typical careers there. There are different ways because even if someone wants to get into research, lot of students I get are interested in research, and getting into research of other branches of science seems easy because there's so many people doing it. Doing research in astronomy, less people are doing it. So if anyone wants to ask me about any suggestions, how to go about a career in professional astronomy and all that, just feel free to message me, because my career is not
So
that,
if you
but
could,
that is something I help a lot of
yeah.
kids
If
to do
you
that.
could just give us a couple of things, मतलब कि क्या पढ़ना पड़ेगा? Is there any degree that they can get in astronomy and like yeah? Because I don't know.
Okay, so basically, astronomy, you can approach astronomy by various subjects. It's, as I told you, it's a multidisciplinary subject, and there are so many different aspects in astronomy you can do. There is hardcore research. There are where you can study about astrophysics, or like that of even in astrobiology there are things. Suppose you have done, let's take a journey from a physics graduate. Suppose you do a graduation in physics. After that you can actually, as a graduate, while you're doing your bachelor's, you can get involved in so many different uh, these summer school and different opportunities which are there for people interested in astronomy. So for example, Aries Observatory, GMRT Pune, and there are a lot of different these short term courses and short term projects which are happening. So these students get involved in that. Someone wants to get into physics aspect of astronomy, astrophysics. Then later on in masters, there are some courses in India, or you can apply abroad also. Where you can start specializing in astrophysics. Even Delhi University has like astrophysics department, and in masters you can actually do astrophysics there. Then you can again, like, getting involved in various. It's not just a degree. You have to keep on doing different things if you want to get into research, because our ideal way will be to do many of these things. For example, the summer school in GMRT, or you can get involved with some professor, some research project, add lot of these extra things in your CV. All right. And that's it. Like, you have to keep on doing. And then appeal. Most of the researchers, they do PhDs. After that, you can get into research. But apart from this mainstream research, there are a lot of opportunities nowadays opening in engineering aspect, aerospace engineering and all that. The private space industry is worldwide, especially in India, not much is happening. Maybe in future we will start seeing it. In India, there's most of the things are happening under government institution, but outside India, there's so many private ventures nowadays working into developing of technology. A new kind of space race is starting. Basically, there are companies like SpaceX. There are companies like so many. SpaceX and Blue Origin are the more common ones. But under these, there's a whole hierarchy of smaller technology companies. Some of them are working into some little aspect. Some of them are developing some technology which can suppose in a space colony they can make oxygen. Some of them are working in asteroid mining. So there are different. There's a whole ecosystem of space related private ventures, and they're working along with existing government institutions. So that is a whole new domain which is opening up for people. So basically, you have to be very versatile. You have to keep on looking. It's a new field, and lot of aspects are new. Research and all used to exist for a long time. There's a lot to be done there, but this the new private space division is a new thing which someone can also look for. Yeah.
So like space tourism is a thing these days. If in
Yeah.
2040 you are able to afford it, would you want to go into space? And
Uh,
is that like a dream of yours?
Not really. I prefer to stay on Earth. Space is a tough place. I prefer to live in more comfortable. Yeah, but I would instead of going to space, I would love to. One of my dream projects is to make a big observatory of my own and just spend time. Maybe get a land and some hills and just have a big telescope, much bigger than the ones I have used. Make a telescope on my own, because When I was in 8th, 9th grade, I also made my first telescope by grinding the mirror. So my dream is to make a large, huge, gigantic mirror telescope, which is capable of photography and all that, and spend time there.
Yeah.
Roughly,
That sounds a little bit like Mojo Jojo, like an evil supervillain, but we'll let that pass.
yeah.
That's great. Yeah. I hope your dreams come true. Everyone,
Okay.
Atish Aman, super cool guy. Please follow him on Instagram and check out his work on Cargo Collective and a lot of other places. Truly brilliant, truly so nice to talk to you, man. At the very
Okay.
end, if I could just ask you to boil down into of the thousands of things that we've spoken about today, like if you could just boil down into 100 words, what do you think someone getting into just some 5 lines of advice for someone wanting to get into astronomy if they've joined in just now?
Okay. So, uh, so if someone wants to get into astronomy, there are like different aspects. You can get into as a researcher. I've already discussed earlier that how you can join astronomy as a research, and the world needs more researcher. There's so many telescopes out there, but not enough people to do research. So many instruments there, but not enough people. So that is one aspect. If you are really interested into this whole theoretical aspects, concepts, new research, and all that. Otherwise, you can get into technology, lot of different things. What I do is I'm a science communicator, and I feel that world needs lot more science communicators, and because there's so many there's wonders happening in the professional scientific world. If you take any field, there people are doing wonderful work, but that work is totally disconnected from the common people. So we need more science communicator which can become bridge and get these masses involved. So even as science communicator, suppose you want to work as a science communicator or an educator, there are so many opportunities now there. So you can work not just in astronomy, but you can work as a science communicator in many different ventures. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Atish. Everyone, please reach out if you have any queries. Thank you so much, man. I'll catch you out now. See you.
Okay. Thank you, Salil.
If you enjoyed that conversation, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back right here on this channel next Saturday at 6 p.m.
एक बात बताएं कि आपकी औकात क्या है, यानी कि आप हैं क्या चीज।